Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by TournamentPokerEdge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, sponsored by ACR Poker, where we have $10.6 million in guaranteed prize pools every single week, even when it's not like the OSS or some other major event. All the time we have guaranteed events 24/7 on ACR Poker. And if you're not yet playing on ACR Poker, you need to do so now. Click on the link in this podcast and you can join. You can get a first-time deposit bonus of 100% up to $2,000 just by using the promo code TPE. My name is Clayton Fletcher. I'm in fabulous Las Vegas, and I'm in the VIP room thanks to my special guest today, who was able to pull a few strings. She's a much bigger celebrity than I'll ever be. She is a ACR pro. She's also incredibly fashionable. I wish you guys could see her. Maybe we'll do a selfie afterwards so we can post on social media. This outfit should not go to waste. I'm talking, of course, about the poker fashionista herself, Lindsay. How are you, Katie?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really happy to have you on the program. A lot of our listeners have been asking me to get you on. How has your trip to Vegas been so far as the WPT Championship?
Yeah, so I came in a little bit late. It started, I think, the end of November, and I started a little bit later. I started last week and began with the mystery bounty, and I had to do 4 bullets, but I did find a bag. So that was good to kind of get in first day I played to get through. And unfortunately, on day 2, I did get 2 bounties.
You did? Were they minimum bounties?
Yeah, they're minimum, so that's never fun. Because people kind of joke, they're like, oh, you're the mystery bounty queen, because one of the first times they ever had it, I ended up getting 11 bounties, and I think it was 10 in the first 2 hours, like 10 bounties in the first start of the day.
That's running good.
It was it was incredible. I'd built up a really big stack and just got an incredible table draw where I had 1.2 million. I was tied chip leader coming into the day, and the next stack had 200,000. So I just got to be all in every single hand because of the value of the bounty. It's just you're playing every hand to try to win them. I felt bad. There was I'd have like Jack 3 off against Jacks, and I would just run out and beat the. It was like, sorry.
I love the mystery bounty format. I like anything that brings a little more action to the game. I'm tired of watching these robots fold for hours and hours, and this really makes you have to play, right?
Yeah, and it's cool too because I think a lot of people don't fully understand the concept of mystery bounties and that you have to be going for them. So there was one spot where a guy that I covered, he opened and the small blind shoved, and I looked down, I have 6-9 off in the big blind, and I'm just shoving here because you're fighting for it. You can easily be live. The original guy folds a pair, and this guy's ace jack. Fortunately, I didn't win that one, but they were very confused. They're like, what is she doing? And it's like, this is how you have to play mystery bounties, and a lot of people still don't understand that. When the big ones are in there, when the 250Ks and the 100Ks are in there, you're getting it in. Yeah. As long as you cover people, you can be getting it in really wide to be trying to win these bounties. So it's a fun event. So I did catch that.
So in the Mystery Millions over the summer, I started day 2 with, I think I was top 20 in chips, and I ended up not getting any bounties, even though I had this giant stack.
Yeah.
And I think some of my friends were like, well, how did that happen? How did you not cash higher, or how did you? I was doing exactly what you said. I was going for the bounties, and I bricked them all, and that's another thing that happens. Normally, if I show up for day 2 of any tournament with a top 20 stack, and there's 1,000 players left, I'm going to do pretty well in that tournament. But in that one, I just basically got just a little bit over a min cash because going for all those bounties, I had so many short stacks at my table. But after a while, if you don't hit any cards, you end up being the short stack yourself.
Yeah, and they're volatile tournaments. I started the day, I had 250, and then I had 600, and then I had 150, and then I had 500. And that's those tournaments. You have to be prepared to go that if you're chasing bounties, you're going to be doing swings, and it's going to be like that. And
so you don't have an aversion to gambling and going for it.
Oh no, it's like a funny joke. Like some people, they'll be like, oh, like on dinner break, oh, I have 300 big blinds, I'll be safe, to make it through. And I'm like, not me.
Right.
This girl, anything can happen.
No stack is safe.
No stack is ever safe with me. Truly. Even in that tournament, because it was all of a sudden this is a different tournament actually. I'm going to tell you a hand from that. And I was having a lot of chips on the bubble, and everyone's like, oh, you're locked to cash. And I played this crazy hand where I didn't even make myself a lock to cash anymore because that's how I'm in there.
Yeah. Well, you're speaking my language. I mean, I'm whatever the opposite of a knit is. That's me. Yeah. Yeah. She raised her
Team
hand.
No knit.
Team no knit. I love that. Well, I always joke. One of my favorite interviews we've done was with Nacho, and he just told me straight up, he's like, look, ICM is for poor people.
Right. Yeah,
that's easy for him to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's it like being part of the ACR family? I call it a family because it just seems to me like you guys, you have sort of a friendly rivalry amongst each other. It seems like there's a great deal of camaraderie, stuff like the punter's pad and like all the different like within the group contests that you guys have. Like, tell us a little bit what it's like being part of that.
Well, I like it especially because I'm very sarcastic and I have kind of like, it's maybe a little bit of that British humor, like the banter. I love to banter. I love to give people, can I say the S word? Shit?
Sure.
Okay, shit.
Thanks for asking.
I didn't know if we're allowed. Yeah. I like to give people shit. So it's kind of fun like that. We have a bunch of group chats and we're always just kind of like making fun of each other and there's so much banter, which I like. There's not an uptight, corporate-y feeling. That's not me. Obviously, that's none of us. We're poker players. We didn't want to do corporate. That's why I think we play a job, without a boss. And so that's what's great about there is like the energy there is just very like, it is family-like. It's easygoing, and I just feel really fortunate to be a part of it. It's nothing that I ever thought I would end up doing. I mean, when I came into poker, I wrote for a magazine for a bit, and then I started my own agency where I was the person kind of behind the scenes pushing people to do deals. I'm very actually camera shy. Funny enough, like even when I started playing more, and people would say, "Do you want to do an interview?" I'm like, "No, I'm so awkward. I don't know. It's just not for me. I like pushing other people forward into the spotlight, and while I stand in the background, like even though I dress so eccentrically, which most people wouldn't believe about me.
That was going to be my next question because I already referenced your attire.
Yeah.
But this isn't the first time we've met, and every time I've ever seen you, you always look like you put a great deal of thought into the way you present yourself, just stylistically. So like to hear somebody that has that kind of fashion sense say something like, "I prefer to be behind the scenes." Like, wouldn't you want to show everyone off?
I know, it's weird. You would think, like, even when I tell people that know me, they still almost don't believe it. But I am super shy in that way. Like, it just makes me uncomfortable. But I'm getting better. And actually, that was kind of a cool thing when the ACR thing came about and they asked me to join the team. My first instinct was no. And then it was like, okay, Katie, you're crazy. What an incredible opportunity. Like, there's just so few, like people in the world that get the chance to be sponsored like that. And it's just so great. So I was like, why would you turn down an opportunity? Even if it scares you, push yourself outside your comfort zone. And I did. And I've like hosted, I hosted like during Punter's Pad, they had a challenge once. I did that. And I mean, I was like terrified, but it's cool to like put yourself outside of your comfort zone. And that's why I just think like life's short, you don't want to have any regrets. Like now I'm just really trying to like be in that mentality of like trying not to say no so much and doing things that aren't always easy, but maybe you can learn from and, get better at, which I'm a little better at talking recorded.
Yeah, no, I think you're great. And listen, I've interviewed hundreds of poker players and, a lot of times it's the same old answers to the same old questions. And, what I try to do when I'm speaking with someone on here, let's not ask her questions that I can Google the answers to. I want to know what's behind all that, not just what it says in your bio.
Right.
So I appreciate you opening up about that. A lot of people are surprised. My natural personality is also very shy and introverted. Like I probably didn't say a word for the first 8 years of my life because I was kind of like, super shy, kind of nerdy, like introverted type. And, now I'm a stand-up comedian, so you wouldn't expect that either. But like being in that world, I've learned that a lot of comedians are actually introverts at heart.
100%.
They're writers.
I heard this thing, like even Beyonce, how in person she's so quiet and shy and reserved, and then she gets on stage, and that's why that joke of that, I think she has a second persona, Sasha Fierce or something
Sasha
like that.
Fierce.
Right. And that makes sense. But then me, I can meet every single person in a room. I love people. I talk to everyone. I love people. But then if you put me on stage and everyone was staring at me, I would probably just pass out of like fear.
You don't think Katie Fierce would come out in that situation?
I don't think she would. Be Katie Unfierce.
No. Katie passed out on the stage, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Like you said, like maybe you're introverted more. I'm an absolute extrovert, but not when it comes to like, I would never be able to do stand-up. Like, I don't even like if I go to a comedy show and the comedian like...
Oh, picks on you in the front row,
like,
right?
Please, and then everyone's staring at you. The funny thing is you would think I dress and would want everyone staring at me, and I actually hate it. It's like, doesn't make sense. Yeah. But like, one-on-one, I love attention, but group attention terrifies me.
Got it. So yeah, you just don't make sense.
No, I don't. It's fun. anomaly.
Why should we? Going back to something you said earlier about, we get into poker for that reason. Like, we don't want to have a boss or a job. And, that's been something that my listeners know has been frustrating for me, because many, many times poker players cancel interviews or they don't show up when they're supposed to. It's like, we like to do whatever we want. So maybe like you wake up one day and you go on vibes. You say, I don't want to play poker today. I'm just going to chill. And we have that luxury, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's part of the personality of a poker player. Like, someone who's attracted to this lifestyle doesn't want to have a structured 9-to-5 life.
Yeah, but I'm not like that. Like, if I'm on time, I'm late. That's kind of my joke. Like, I'm a very punctual, like, I'm a structure. It's weird. I'm such a kind of free spirit, but I'm also very structured. Like, I need to know what we're doing, when we're doing it, how we're doing it, kind of thing. Like, I like structure in those ways. So I am kind of different than most poker players. And I think because I maybe came from a different realm. I came from the business side of things a bit.
So you're used to having deadlines and being on time and things of that nature.
100%. And I had, at one point before Black Friday, I had 30 clients where, I was their mom, a lot of them managing a lot of the stuff where it's like, you have to be here. And I had to make sure that they were there, and I had to make sure they got their stuff done.
Wow.
So
what line of work was that where you had those clients?
So here in poker. So I was a poker agent. Oh. So when there was like the crazy times.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, Full Tilt and Stars, and everybody was just, here, 10K, put a patch on. I started an agency and helped facilitate a lot of those deals. And we grew off of just me having like a couple of clients and ended up becoming 30 people.
Isn't that something? Now, I don't want to turn this into a rom-com, but is that how you met your husband?
No, I mean, what's funny is we met at so basically Dole's Room, they did the Brunson 10, and I kind of like started that idea with them because they said, we want to start this new site. And I said, go after the online guys. Everybody was signing all the big names that we knew.
The TV guys. Yeah.
Exactly. And I said, you're an online poker site. Do something different. Go after the online grinders, the biggest names that have won the most in online poker. These, I think, will be our future superstars. It was kind of a cool thing to a little bit predict, because they did become the superstars, these online guys. And the first, I think 4 people they signed for Brunson 10 were my clients. So that was pretty neat. Yeah.
That's so cool. That is amazing. Yeah, I didn't realize you had that background.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, so Chris was one of the Brunson 10, but we had never spoke. We saw each other at one of Dole's parties here or there, knew of each other, but never spoke. And then, when we ended up meeting, it was like at a mutual friend's final table, and that was the first time we ever talked. And then we talked and just like completely hit it off.
Wow, that's so cool. Great story. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. So I don't know, we're going to get to your hand in just a minute, but I wanted to ask you about, in that agency world, right? Were you also playing a lot of poker on the side, or did you get into playing poker later?
So I got into, first I was playing poker. I grew up playing cards. Like, I played spades for money in college. I played pool for money. I was pretty good. I grew up mostly I was with my dad and 2 brothers, and, we would open the Sunday paper, pick a sports team. Whoever lost had to do the chores. I kind of always grew up maybe a little bit of a gambling family.
Sounds a little like my family.
Yeah. Cribbage with my grandparents, gin rummy with my dad. I just grew up playing games, playing cards. So college I started playing a little bit. I watched Moneymaker win, which again is full circle, being on the same team as him. It's crazy. He is why I got into poker. Yeah. I watched him win. It touched me. I picked up a book, started reading about No Limit. And then moved to LA. That's when I started writing for Poker Magazine. From that, it transitioned into starting my own agency. And I was playing for fun on the side a little bit here and there, but my agency ended up growing and booming so much. I didn't have time to play, and I was doing so well that it wasn't even a priority. So I kind of quit playing for a while. And then once Black Friday happened, I stopped doing that. Met Chris soon after that, and we would talk poker, and he just said, you need to be playing again. He's like, you think about the game really well, and maybe we'd be listening to commentary, and the commentator would say something, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. And he's like, you shouldn't. You're right. He's like, you need to be playing. So he pushed me to get back into the game and playing more, and and it's been great. And then how lucky was I? Literally have one of the best players in the world that every day I can talk about the hands that I played and get his opinions on them, and he doesn't hold back. Sometimes he's not the best in that way. He wouldn't be let's just say if I told him a hand he didn't he wasn't kind about his delivery of how bad he didn't
not necessarily tactful.
No, not at all. It would be his face would scrunch up. Why would you do that? I'm like, all right, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. But my favorite that I always laugh about is that I'll be okay, and then I did this on the flop and now I'm on the turn, what would you do? He goes, I don't know, I wouldn't be on the turn. I'm like, yeah, I understand, but I am. And he's like, oh, I don't know how to answer that because I would never be in the turn on this hand. I'm like, God, Chris, just tell me.
My favorite 2 words, as played. Yeah, exactly. Well, I wouldn't be in your situation, but as as played, I guess I would call.
Oh, no, there is no as played with Mormon. There's no as played. It is, we would never be here. You completely botched this hand, and I'm not even giving advice. I'm done.
Period. End of story. As I mentioned, guys, we are in the VIP lounge here at the World Poker Tour World Championship at the Wynn. Well, what's going on behind me, I'm not sure how much this microphone is picking up, but we've got pinball, we've got people playing pool, there's lots of ambient noise that I hope is adding something to the mystique of the podcast right now.
Yeah, we're in the mix here.
Yeah, we're right in the mix.
It's hard to find a quiet place in Vegas, right?
Well, that's for sure. And the thing about this lounge, it's really nice, and thank you again for pulling the strings to get me in here. This is pretty cool. You know, you kind of see how the high rollers live. I think they let people that won satellites or something come in here too.
Maybe, I think it's like Club WPT, any Champions Club members. I just luckily know some people in high places.
Friends in high places.
They let me sneak in. I'm not. Chris is a Champions Club member. I'm not yet, but maybe it's one of that, like, through marriage, I can weasel my way in, right?
You're not.
I'm married into the Champions Club.
Yeah, right. Yeah, by marriage. All right. So I want to get to your hand. I've been using GTO Wizard lately, and I really like it a lot. A lot of the hands that we talk about on the podcast in the future week, I'll run it through the GTO Wizard and see what the AI thinks about the play, you know, and it's kind of fun. So as we're talking, if you have any, she's not looking forward to that. While we're talking, if you have any spots where you know that what you did is kind of deviating from what like a computer simulator would have you doing, help us out, just see what the logic is behind the decisions you make. But I love using this program. I put my hands in there, I put my ranges in there, I see how close I am. There's a practice mode where they'll give you different hands that you can look at. It's a really fun tool, and it's great for someone like me who's not like especially tech savvy. Have you ever tinkered around with GTO Wizard?
A little bit, but I'm kind of a streets player.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you mean by that? Tell us what you mean by that.
I mean, you know, everybody these days, I mean, look, I think it is incredible. I'm all for it if that's kind of like the way to, and I believe it is a great way to study poker, but I don't know. I'm just kind of a bit of more like feel instinct player, and I'm more like, I like to, also I'm a little bit like, hey, yeah, Chris, you do that work, and then I'll just talk hands with you, and then you tell me where I messed up.
Yeah, let him do the hard work.
Let him do the hard work, right?
He's Chris Moorman. Let him do the hard work.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Well, if anybody wants to get on board with GTO Wizard, we have a link in the description of the podcast. You can click it and save 10% on your first purchase, which is nice. You know, I've been really happy with it so far. I find it really easy to use, and just a great program, a tool that's been helping me a lot. So, but I'm on board with being a field player too, or what did you call it? A streets player. I like that. Is she for the streets? Let's find out. So what is this hand going to be from?
Okay, so this is from the Mystery Bounty, day one. And this is also the last flight. So I think that has... No, wait, that's not true. I'm lying. There's one more flight after that.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and day two was Thursday. Yeah, so this is Tuesday. So there's only one more flight after this to play. And we're on the bubble, and it was a decent amount of people making it through. So when it's not just like, okay, 10 people bag, you know, then that's like, there's not that many going to make it through. It's going to go, maybe take a little while. But this one, it was something, you know, maybe like 120 made it through or something like that. I don't totally remember because it's been...
But it's enough like people years. That you can't really look at all the other tables and know how many people are all in like you can in a smaller tournament where there's only a few people that are going to bag, right?
And it will go quicker because the more that make it through, the quicker it's going to go to get in the money. So it's
like 100 and some, whatever.
Yeah, we're close to whatever it is, and it shouldn't take too long. So I've decided at this point, I'm chip leading pretty well over the table. I'm going to be opening any two cards. Mostly, I've made that decision just to keep the pressure on the bubble. And this is such a great time, especially in the Mystery Bounty. Let's chip up. Let's get chips. Because having a big stack going into day two of the Mystery is huge. This isn't one where you just really want to ink in, okay, I got my min cash, let's get in with like 5 big blinds. It's not great.
And the reason for that, just so everyone understands, in a Mystery Bounty style tournament, usually about at least 30 or 50% of the prize pool is locked up in those mystery bounties. So you really want to have the type of stack where you have a shot at collecting lots and lots of bounties on the next day. Now, it doesn't always work out, as we already talked about, my experience over the summer, but that is kind of the theory anyway, right?
Yeah, and I mean, some of the mystery bounties, like the top one was $250,000, which is what the same place as third place paid out. So, do you know what I mean? You pull that one bounty envelope.
This is a $1,600 value?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a huge prize.
Right, and there was $400K, you know, there's some big bounties, so you definitely want to be building chips. So I've made the decision at this point, okay, we're close enough on the bubble, I'm going to be opening nearly 100%, like, okay, maybe I'll fold 70s off under the gun.
Bubble abuser.
100%. I love it. It's my favorite time. I hate folding, so when you let me play every single hand, you're right in my sweet
No,
spot.
I mean, you're speaking my language. I probably bubble more than anybody because I tend to play so aggressively on the bubble. Sometimes it backfires, and then I end up not even cashing myself. So,
that can happen for sure.
Yeah.
And it's hard too, and you have to remember to like change gears when you do lose a big pot if you're trying to bubble abuse, and you had to now. You're the guy that might be having to tank a little bit, and you're a guy that has to fold every hand. So
she was on the other foot at that point.
It's awful, but it happens. So I decided to open Jack 3 with the Jack of Diamonds, middle position. I have about 650,000. Blinds are 10, 20K. Or no, excuse me, blinds are 5, 10K. So I open to 20,000, so I min raise. The next seed I have Michael Rocco, which is actually kind of funny because him and Chris had a whole like thing when Chris won his World Poker Tour. They like sparred a little bit, but it's awesome since then. Like Rocco and I become friends. You know, him and Chris like resolved everything from the little, crap talking they were doing to each other at the final table. But
sometimes in the heat of the moment we say things we don't mean. The competition comes out, brings out sometimes the worst in people, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And listen, I think he's really sweet. Like I'm glad that him and I are friends now and we're cool, but he's a great player, so not someone you want right on your left. I wasn't thrilled when he got moved to my table because
not a great seat draw there.
I mean I had been running over the table a bit, and then he goes and I was like, get out of here, this is my table. You feel like I don't want you here, much less on my left.
I wanted all these recreational players to myself.
And like he's a decent stack, so I'm not loving it, but so he has about 400,000. Like I said, I have about 650.
So let's talk about this first, this pre-flop, because obviously Jack 3, we know that it's not a premium hand. But I think it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds to me like you're thinking as long as I can get past Rocco, I have a good chance of winning this pot either before the flop or on the flop, right?
Sure, because I mean the blinds were players that you can kind of tell when people we're just trying to fold the cash. They didn't even look ever pained on any decision, and fair, maybe they never had a decision, but to me they were players that I felt it was going to pretty easy get through. Also, I had tested before I opened as wide as Jack 3. We've done some opens. Rocco had not 3-bet me once, flatted me once, so I felt like I wanted to see if he was going to be trying to play back to like against me or to kind of slow me down, and he hadn't been prior to this. So
I wonder why he didn't choose to challenge you.
Well, we never know, right? This is the kind of funny thing in poker. We can like sometimes assume things. It's the whole thing about like, this guy just 3-bet me 3 times in a row. He's coming for me. No, he can just have hands. We have to remember that. And he probably most likely was folding because he just didn't have hands that he could try to mess around with.
That didn't stop you. You had Jack 3.
Well, but I'm the first to go. That's the only difference, right? I wouldn't be calling. I mean, maybe I can raise this hand in a specific spot.
Well, I'm pretty sure GTO Wizard is going to tell us we shouldn't be playing Jack 3, but I understand what you're doing. Right. So I'm a full-time bubble abuser myself, so I'm with you.
But is GTO as played? See, now, they're not Mormon. They'll maybe tell us as played.
Exactly.
Or the machine's going to break down when you put this hand in. Abort
mission. We'll see if it breaks the wizard permanently. Yeah.
Okay, so I do open. He decides to flat the blinds. Okay. Everybody else folds.
Okay, so we're heads up against Michael Rocco. We've got the junkie Jack Tray. Love it.
Yes. So now flop comes 9-7-3 with 2 diamonds. I have the Jack of Diamonds.
Okay.
Not the absolute worst flop for my hand.
No, it's not bad at all.
Yeah. So I see bet 20K, and now Rocco goes 60, give or take. Maybe he went like 63, something like that, around there.
Okay. So one thing on the flop here, I feel like there's a lot of value in checking our hand. I mean, I can see why C betting makes sense, especially because we do have the equity you already mentioned. You have the diamond in your hand. You've got the bottom pair. It seems to me like maybe check calling might be a preferable line just because we can sort of we'll keep his bluffs in and all that too.
Sure, but my only also thing is like, I don't have a great hand, so now I'm just going to be out there no man's land. Now checking to him and letting him take the lead on the hand. He gets to decide pot size. He gets to decide if he's going to bet turn. He gets to take the lead, and I'm just out here while I'm blind calling, not knowing. I would much rather always, if I'm not sure where I'm at in the hand, be the person taking the lead to put them in the tougher spot, rather than I just don't want to put myself in a harder spot. So I kind of think...
That makes a lot of sense. That's a really good argument for just continuing to stay in control. You keep yourself in the driver's seat, and now he's the one who really has to make the decision. I tend to check a lot when I'm out of position on the flop heads up. I have to mix in a lot of check calls and check raises so that I'm not always check giving up. Yeah. Right? But I like this idea way, because you do have such a lousy hand anyway,
right.
You don't really want to have to make a decision with Jack Tray.
Yeah, so let's say I had opened King Queen and the flop came like Ace King Deuce. Sure, all day I'm going to check call there. I don't need to bet really there, right? That one I have no problem doing that. I'm not as much in no man's land. With my hand I am in no man's land. So, which is... I created this myself. I understand.
You made your bed?
I did. I'm going to try not to lie. I'm going to try to jump on top of it,
Okay, that's cool. So he raises, and I don't think we can fold, right? We have to call with a pair.
Yeah, because we can turn a lot of really good cards,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we proceed from there and see. And also, maybe, he has draws. Maybe he's just trying to test the waters and see what I do.
Yeah.
But I look decently strong now when I've called the
All
flop.
right.
So
You do. That should slow him down a little bit if he's just kind of testing you, right?
Right.
Also, I can't wait to name this episode, playing a big pot with Jack Trey. That one will collect.
Jack 3? Wasn't that?
Or was it Jack 4?
I don't
I think she
remember.
might have been Jack 4.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's funny. Well, now this will be the
This
Katie.
will be the Katie. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so, now here's the only problem. Now when I call, I get essentially the gen card on the turn. The 8 of diamonds.
Oh.
I now have the straight draw, the flush draw, and bottom pair.
Yeah.
So now I check, and he goes, I want to say around 80K or so over half pot. And I, at this point, decide to jam because I just kind of think with that turn, that's it. I want to put him in a tough spot if maybe he just has one pair.
Yeah, and also calling is kind of gross, right? Like he bets half high. How many blinds do we have approximately at this point?
I have 65, give or take, and he has 40.
Yeah, so I mean it's a pretty big shove, but given that it was a 3-bet pot, it's not that big,
No.
and it really puts him under a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
even when he actually has something.
Yeah.
So I really like this play. I mean, you almost certainly have outs if you are beat.
Yeah.
And he calls,
Yeah.
but a lot of times when you are beat, he's going to fold because it's so strong.
But I also have bottom pair, and so just calling, and now what?
Right, yeah, calling is gross,
It's a brick
yeah.
river, and what I'm going to check fold now, and you know what I mean? So even if even if he's beat, he's going to win the hand because what can I do here? So I just think here I want to now try to retake the lead on the hand, and I just have a ton of equity with that turn.
Well, I agree with Mr. Mormon that you see the game well. I mean, this is good. I mean, this is the kind of perspective you need to have if you want to be a professional player. It's not just about what do I have, what does he have. It's like she's really thinking. You can tell that you're thinking kind of big picture, like how am I going to play this hand almost like a golfer. Like you don't just look at your drive, you're looking at the whole course. Like, well, do I want to be on the right side of the fairway? I mean, if I'm good enough at golf, which I'm not, but do I want to be on the right side of the fairway to have a better approach towards the green on shot number 2? It's not just about like, what am I doing right now? You're seeing the hand as a whole and the situation as a whole.
And everything, the bubble, the players, it's all the information, which unfortunately I don't think a lot of times these charts and these things, they don't take those things into account. And so I'm funny when I would tell Chris the hand history, I'm like, okay, this guy's this, he has all the details because I'm like, this to me is what's building up everything to give my decisions what I do, is all the information that I've garnered at the table, and developed and anything that's happened, like this is what's making me lead to sometimes do the out of the box things that I do.
Yeah,
but
well, opening Jack 3 middle position is out of the box for sure. But look, keep it spicy. But this is the bubble, and now you shoving here puts maximum pressure on him, right?
And he wasn't thrilled. He kind of sighed and is talking to himself. Oh, do you have Jack 10 here?
Now, when he's talking, do you ever talk to the player? You keep quiet in those moments. I keep quiet
no matter what. I keep quiet if I have it, and I keep quiet if I don't. I just never listen. There's a lot of great players out there that can pick up any little thing, and I never want to give something away. I never show my bluffs. That is ego to me. There is no point. You're giving away information for free. I always joke you got to pay to see it. Pay to see it. That's right, we're never giving anything away for free.
I love that.
What's the point? I have no ego in poker. You have to take the ego out. You're only going to be hurting yourself. So for me, I don't talk. It's head down. I just don't.
Now in your mind, you're like, please fold, please fold.
Of course.
Do you just kind of stare at the table, or do you look him in the eyes?
No, I'm not trying to stare down Rocco. Come on, that guy is like the eyes from.
Good point. I forgot who our opponent is.
Yeah,
he does. Yeah.
And he's right next to me too. It's like, what am I going to turn and just be like, I got you?
They do that sometimes. Isn't that so weird?
I'm not into it. That's why I would just hey, look, today if they mess me up, I'm going to put my.
Yeah, you've got this big furry hat on. We're definitely doing a selfie.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to keep cool, breathe deep, not change any demeanor. The best I can. And so
what's he saying? He's trying to put you on something. He thinks you have Jack 10.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's like, oh my gosh, Jack 10, he's kind of just talking out loud to himself, and maybe he tanks for a minute, probably a little bit less, but in poker time of tanking, that does feel like a while.
A minute's a long time.
Yeah.
As a comedian, a minute's a long time, especially if no one's laughing. minutes long.
And maybe it wasn't a minute. Maybe it's 40 seconds. Maybe when it's you waiting, it feels like 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
When you want them to fold, it feels like an hour.
It's all relative, right? Time is very relative.
Yeah, so, but it isn't, bam, snap,
Right.
Because he doesn't love it either. It does put him in a tough spot, and it's for all of his chips right there on the bubble.
Unless he has the nuts, he's in a tough spot.
Yeah. But anyways, he did end up calling, and he had 8-9, so he had turned, it's kind of funny, it was like my perfect card, and yet his, because he's just going to fold if he had only had top pair. He's going to fold that on the turn. He just can't call, but now
he happened to make two pair with the card that gave you the flush draw.
What if she has aces? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if he could easily think, I have aces with the ace of diamonds, right? That maybe he thinks I would, like, check jam turn there.
For sure.
That's like, he can't fold that hand
And
ever.
maybe you would. I mean, you did it with the jack-high flush draw and bottom pair, so maybe he's right. Maybe you will have a lot more bluffs in your range there. So what's your value range for check shoving this turn, do you think?
Well,
flushes? I mean, would you shove with a flush?
Maybe a baby flush, to protect your hand a little bit. Those are kind of fun. Like, to me, that question's like a little bit hard because you're so in the moment of what you decide and what you think you may want to do, I mean, the funny thing, and this is what I love definitely about me in poker, I'm never doing anything 100% of the time. And this is, again, why I'm not a big chart person, because it's like, we're always doing this. And I'm like, no, we're freaking not. No, we're not. Today we're going to be sassy. Or today we're going to be a little behaved. We're never doing anything 100% of the time. I'm just not.
You got to mix it up. Yeah, I mean, you can't be predictable, right? So if you're always doing anything, like, obviously you're never folding aces before the flop, right? That's a pretty good rule to follow.
But I'm not always just calling. I mean, maybe sometimes I'm slow playing them. Maybe sometimes I'm squeezing. Maybe sometimes, that's the thing. We're never always just raising. Maybe we're limping. So I don't know, right? We don't know. Let's look at the situation always. There's no always for anything, in my opinion. Like, we're never folding. That's true. But what exactly will we do with it? That will always be different.
And that will be different. And it's going to depend on a large variety of factors.
Yeah.
To me, the opponents are everything. Like, I'm not going to be limping in with my aces if I don't think anyone's going to raise. If it's a big, passive table.
Or slow playing them where you know that the guy in the small blind's going to squeeze or the button's going to squeeze every time they have any squeezable hand.
Exactly.
This is a great time where we can just slow play aces. And so it's just like things like that. So it's so situational. So what would I be doing for value? Sure. Also the Jack 10, no diamonds, maybe. What if he has a diamond? Do I want to protect my hand? I mean, it's a possibility, right? We don't know. And that's what he doesn't know. He's trying to think, what hands could she have here? So anyways, he called in. And the river, no Jack, no 3, no diamond, no... What was the other one that I needed? What made it straight as win? A 6, 6, 8, 9,
6,
or 7, 8, 9, 10. No 10. It was so none of my cards. It was I had a lot of he had no diamonds, so I had a lot of outs, and unfortunately I didn't get them. So that was it. I mean, and I ended up, I think, bagging around 250K or something, which was still a workable stack, and and got back in there the next day and gave myself a shot.
The value of being the aggressor in that position, I mean, it's so strong because you still managed to cash in the tournament. Right, you didn't bust on that hand, but Michael could have.
Right, and that's the thing, is putting yourself, and that's why I think too, chip up, chip up, chip up. We can fade, the flips that you have to take sometimes. We can fade the coolers that are going to have to happen. That's my thought in poker when people complain about, I can't win a flip and just I get it, because I'll complain about that too. But more often than not, I want all the chips that I can withstand those things that are just going to happen in poker, and it's going to be frustrating. But okay, if I can just keep chipping up, I can ride some of those like waves, the ups and downs. And Chris is great about that. He always reminds me it's never going to be straight up for no one ever.
No one ever.
Yeah, it's just going to be the coasters, and you got to be able to ride the waves and not freak out. And and it's a dumb thing to me, but I do tell myself I'm very butterfly effect. And so maybe I have a frustrating one where I have queens. This happened, I think, on that table earlier, right? I have queens versus ace queen all in pre, and he hits the ace. It's just a big pot, and you're just come on, this is so annoying. Yeah. And then it's now I'm back to work again. And then this other guy ends up losing his mind against me and got to the river where he ended up hitting a gut shot, and I had a full house. I'd flopped a full house, and he just shouldn't have been in this hand and just lost his mind versus me. And anyways, and now I win this massive pot. And then I go, okay, see, if I would have won those queens, this hand wouldn't have happened, because everything would be different. That guy would have been gone, the shuffle, the next hand, and everything going forward would have been different. So I know it's kind of dumb, but that's what I will tell myself if bad beats happen, just stay calm, because then when you win another one, you're like, hey, I wouldn't have won that hand if I had won the other one.
Well, I mean, whatever kind of mental tricks we need to play to keep our sanity.
Yeah, I know.
Because this game we're in is just ridiculous sometimes, right?
Yeah, it's tough. again, I mean, that's kind of the things, like, probably other people don't think like that. Like, I'm a psycho. Like, if I buzz a tournament to come, like, 5th or something, I'll be like, well, listen, if I would have won, I might have gotten a car accident on the way home. And so this is not what the universe wanted for me. Oh, God, this sounds really sad now. This is what we have to tell ourselves as poker players.
Taking the butterfly effect to the extreme.
To get by. Oh, God, I'm going to cry now.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. That would be a first. Someone crying on this podcast.
Oh, man.
Well, listen, that is, a great hand. Thank you for sharing it with us. A lot of times players just want to come in and tell us their most brilliant move that they made.
I'm going to get judged for this one. They're going to be like, oh, no, there she goes. Old Lindsay, up to it again.
Well, that's what I do. I let my seedy underbelly show sometimes. It's just, this is what happens. Like, you're not going to win them all. Is it a good play? I don't know. Yeah. It seems to me like there's a logic behind it that makes it a strong play. You're putting so much pressure on him. It was hard for him to call you with 2-pair. And a lot of his range is going to be not 2-pair, right? So even when he does have 2-pair, as long as he doesn't have a flush, it's not a snap call for him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think it's a good spot. It didn't work out for you. But even then, like you said, you had like 17 outs or something, right? Yeah. So it's just, that can't be a negative EV check shove. I mean, you could question the flop, pre-flop, but there on the turn, I really like it. Yeah. As played.
Yeah, as played.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. Before we do, what do you like to play on ACR? Do you do any streaming? Like, when can people see you on there?
So I've never like streamed where I show my whole cards, but I love we do a lot of incredible charity events there. We just recently did one for the American Cancer Society where actually we ended up raising over $20,000 that we could donate to them, which was just incredible. Yeah, and so we do really fun like celeb charity streams where we get other celebrities to come on. We actually just had Trishelle Canatella. She's going to actually be appearing on the U.S. Traders coming up. So she was giving us some tea from that. And we had Shayna Moakler, who she did Celebrity Big Brother, and she was Meet the Barkers, married to Travis Barker, and she was spilling tea. If you guys can find that, I mean, this episode, she was spilling a lot of tea. Like, she was like, oh yeah, I dated Jack Nicholson. Like, she was giving us good tea.
Wonder what the Venn diagram is between my listeners and the gossip hounds out there. I don't think it's very big, but maybe. Hey, let me know. Go on Twitter, Clayton Comic. Let me know if you want to hear the tea about Travis Barker's ex-wife.
Hey, you never know, right? I mean, it was funny. It was a fun episode So we do a lot of great charity streams like that where we will like stream us playing and that stuff. But I just love like Sundays, obviously, I think are amazing. The fact that you can just like get in a $600 tournament, win 100,000 plus. Like, that's on a basic Sunday.
It's so
great. You can win 100K from a 600 buy-in on it's just like in one day. Hello, yes, please, thank you. That's what, and the Venom, of course. The Venom is just, again, a tournament that you can just like play in a couple of days, win $1 million on from the comfort of your home. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm a big fan. I've been playing on ACR for like 15, 16 years now, so I'm definitely a big ACR guy. So thanks for taking some time. How can people find you? Are you on Twitter? Are you active on social media? What's going on?
Yeah, well, again, I don't know if this Venn diagram of your listeners are going to care about my fashion, but I definitely do my OOTDs, which are my outfits of the day. I like to share my ridiculous things I wear to play poker because seriously, there's no other women. I mean, Ebony, she gives me a run for my money a little bit, but other than that, most of the girls, they're casual. They're very smart and comfortable, and here I am in like 6-inch heels and furry hats. And
you make it fun,
Yeah. So my Instagram, I'm always posting like poker, lifestyle, fashion, all that, and that's Kate LINDSSS. So KATLINDSSS, and then my Twitter is Caitlins. So yeah, that's it.
Fantastic. Before we go, anything else you want people to know? Anything else I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
I don't think so. Just like have a great day. I don't know. Have fun. Right. Don't fold, right?
Right. Never fold. So as we're recording
Except
this,
to me.
right. Only fold to Katie. It's December 13th. You are about to play the main event, which is a $40 million guarantee. By all accounts, we're going to absolutely shatter that guarantee like we've been shattering all of them here at the Wynn. So let me just leave you with 2 more words. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. So for Katie, Lindsay, and for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, with special thanks, as always, to our very generous sponsor, ACR Poker, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.
I wanna hold them like they do in Texas plays. Fold them, let them hit me, raise it, baby, stay with me. Luck and intuition, play the cards with babes to start. And after she's been hooked, I'll play the one that's on her heart. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll roll with her, a hard pair we will be. While little gambling is fun when you're with me. I love it. Russian roulette is not the same without a gun. And baby, when it's love, it's not rough, it isn't fun.